All right, people, I've got good news. Kaitlin Bennett is on the way out. Maybe. These people tend to lie about that sort of thing. Goodbye, YouTube. What's up, Kaitlin? How you doing?
YouTube, as we know it, is now completely dead.
Good.
And if you support Donald Trump, your days here are now numbered.
Good.
To us here on the right, big tech censorship isn't anything new. For years now, they've been targeting conservatives and...
By the way, I just want to remind everybody that there has never been any evidence demonstrated that any social media platform specifically biases themselves against conservatives. It has never been demonstrated, not once. Now, you can make the argument that by being anti-racist or by having like TOS policies where you can't say the N-word, that's conservative discrimination. And I would agree with that. I do think that's fundamentally an anti-conservative position, you know? I understand that. However, that's not really what they talk about. Then with that, plus the fact that there's actual real evidence that Facebook will discriminate against left-leaning things, what the fuck is up with her eyes? I'm pretty sure she either post-processed that or she's wearing contacts. It's actually a really common thing for white supremacists to have, or like the white supremacist girls, they'll like dye their hair like blonde and they'll get like the blue contacts and stuff. Just so you know, because I've gone over this, Kaitlin Bennett's an actual Nazi. There were group chats that were leaked of Liberty Hangout, actual Nazi, full on like JQ, you know, the parentheses, whatever. So yeah, not just like conservative or anything, but
and making those of us still left on here have to censor ourselves just to maintain a social media presence.
Good.
They tried to be subtle about it for a while, but once the election
who's they?
Came around, they took the mask off and went full-blown communist, hiding dozens of President Trump's tweets, labeling anything as misinformation, and fact-checking anything that challenges mainstream media narratives.
Lying for Democrats, Candace Owens wins challenge against communist Facebook fact-checker PolitiFact over Biden. I don't know what this is in reference to. They do call everything communist, don't they? It really is like the new McCarthy era. They'll call everything and everybody a communist. I was browsing the Donald.win earlier today, and they were saying, I think I was seeing people call Barr a communist. Like, it's really, there really are no liberals anymore, are there? You're pretty much just a Nazi or a communist now. The old battle is beginning again.
But what YouTube just announced is so much worse than any type of censorship we've seen before. They are now going to completely erase any content that challenges or questions the integrity of the 2020 election, and they boast having already banned thousands of accounts.
Oh yeah, I saw this. So apparently what YouTube is going to do is they will delete videos and issue strikes, or TOS violation, whatever, to any videos which make two of the following claims. They have to make both of these. One, that there was deliberate fraud in the 2020 presidential election, and two, that fraud changed the outcome of the election. So on its own, saying there was fraud isn't enough. It has to be that there was fraud, and that's the reason why Biden won, essentially. I have mixed feelings on this. It's not like I trust YouTube to be a particularly good arbiter of political discourse. At the same time, I know that my country is currently at risk of being literally torn in half by these fucking fascists. So it's like one of those lesser evil situations, you know? I don't really like prisons that much either, but like if the government was like, hey, we're gonna arrest the like murderers, yeah, I don't know. It's a bad system. I wish there was like a more confident solution to this. I'm not comfortable with like this being a precedent, but I don't know. I guess I'm also not comfortable with YouTube being a fucking breeding ground for neo-Nazism. So I guess I'm just not going to be happy no matter what happens, you know? I guess I'm just destined to be miserable, aren't I? If I was an authoritarian, life would be so much easier, dude. Because anytime, any imposition of state power harmed by enemies, I could just be happy about it, you know?
According to YouTube's latest policy update, quote, since September, we've terminated over 8,000 1,000 channels and thousands of harmful and misleading elections-related videos for violating our existing policies. The policy update continues. We also work to make sure that the line between what is removed and what is allowed is drawn in the right place. Our policies prohibit misleading viewers about where and how to vote.
Okay.
We also disallow content alleging widespread fraud or errors.
Wait, hold on. Our policies prohibit misleading viewers about where and how to vote. I think I'm okay with that. If you're just outright lying or you're misinforming people about like the method to participate in democracy, I think I'm okay with people being banned for that, because it's very, very objective like that. If you're lying about that, it's very easy to know if you're lying. It's not subjective. And there's also not, it's a descriptive claim, so there's not even like room for argumentation there. There is and there is not a way to vote, you know?
Change the outcome of a historical U.S. presidential election.
There's the two categories.
However, in some cases, that has meant allowing controversial views on the outcome or process of counting votes of a current election as election officials have worked to finalize counts.
Wait, we disallow content alleging widespread fraud or errors change the outcome of a historical U.S. presidential election. However, in some cases, that meant allowing controversial views, outcome, or process of counting votes of current election. Okay, current election versus historical election. Okay.
Have worked to finalize counts. And here's where things get really...
Any opinion on if this TOS just adds fuel to the conspiracy fire that social media is part of the attempt to steal the election? The problem with that is I don't think it makes a difference what like any social media or what any institution does. If you're calling Bill fucking Barr a communist, like... it doesn't matter to the Republicans. It literally doesn't matter. You can bend over backwards to them. And if you're not there at the end of the day, like personally firebombing election official offices, then you're a traitor to them. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's anything big tech could do to really change the opinion the general like conservative voter bloc has on this. Do you think this helps or hurts leftism? Well, it doesn't really help or hurt leftism. I mean, I do think that we have a real problem with incredible amounts of misinformation being propagated on these platforms. And this misinformation is legitimately damaging to our country. Don't let this... See, a lot of people... Guys, what is acceptable free speech? You know the old saying, your rights... my rights end where your rights begin? Like, I can swing my fist in the air, but if your face is in the way, then I can't, you know? You have a First Amendment right. You do. And this is... I think this is justified, to say whatever you want about the election. I don't think the government should be able to arrest you. So legally speaking, First Amendment right, yeah. But we're not talking about the First Amendment. We're talking about private corporations and the TOS violations and those private corporations. And in the context of a non-legal type of censorship, what we're really talking about here is ethics. And personally, I think that stuff like what Kaitlin Bennett does infringe on the rights of people in this country. Fundamentally. I think that people born in this beautiful country, I think they have a right to live in something that is not a dystopic fascist hellhole run by monsters. In my personal opinion. That's my opinion. And while I don't think the government has the right to arrest people for what they say, if private corporations want to facilitate that to some extent, by which I mean protect their advertiser dollars. I mean, that's their legal right.
Really spooky. We will start removing any piece of content uploaded today or anytime after that misleads people by...
This could easily go both ways, Vosh. Is at the whim of the corporation? Yeah, no shit, obviously. But it's always been that way. There's some... So wait, okay, hold on. Vosh, this is hypocritical. I disagree with your take. Okay. So, from a utilitarian perspective, it's generally not tools that are bad, it's how those tools are used. For example, prisons. Do you guys think that state officials should be able to arrest people at a whim? Do you think that wealthy people should be able to decide on a set of rules, and then those rules are enforced by people with guns, and if you don't listen to them, you should be arrested? Oh, really? So you don't think rapists should be arrested? You think rapists should just walk free? You're all pro-rape, is that it? This is a pro-rape caucus? I didn't know I'd facilitated that type of community. You know, one of the rules that the elites in this society have agreed on, in large part because we live in a democratic society, is that rapists should go to jail. Do you not? I didn't realize you guys had such an issue with that. What did I agree to? Sorry! You're all roped in, people. A senator should not be able to arrest? I agree with that. The point that I'm getting at is if we live at the behest of powerful institutions, we should acknowledge the fact that sometimes, even if they do have an unfair amount of power, and they definitely fucking do, it can be a good thing when they use that power in a way that is beneficial to society. I don't like the state, but I do like it when the state uses its power to arrest murderers and rapists and those type, child abusers, whatever. I think that's good, even though I don't like the state. If I said, I sure am glad that serial child rapist was arrested, and you guys were like, you realize that, like, the state can arrest whoever it decides is a criminal, right? You do realize this goes both ways, right? You do realize the state has historically persecuted leftists, right? Like, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But right now, they just arrested a serial child molester. So let's take a second. Let's take a second and appreciate the fact that in this instance, some consequential good is coming from this. Now, keep in mind, we're talking right now about the First Amendment. We're talking right now about the state. What Kaitlin Bennett is talking about is Twitter TOS. So we're talking about a much, 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 much lower level of categorical harm in enforcement. A much, much lower level. So please keep that in mind. There are a lot of people on the right who will make you believe the First Amendment, like the government censoring you, is one and the same of YouTube censoring you, you know? This could negatively affect you too. Oh my god. All right, let's just watch the video. These points are never going to saddle with people who have watched too much Kyle Kalinske.
Alleging that widespread fraud or errors changed the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election, in line with our approach towards historical U.S. presidential elections. For example, we will remove videos claiming that a presidential candidate won the election due to widespread software glitches or counting errors. Those are awfully specific, YouTube. Effectively,
yeah, because it's the shit you guys keep saying.
What they are saying is that if you use YouTube to allege that anyone but Joe Biden won the 2020 election, you will be banned. Even before they announced this policy update, it was already abundantly clear that YouTube was trying to stop the spread of pro-Trump content.
Well, wait. What do you mean pro-Trump content? Because the only thing we're talking about so far is acknowledging that Biden won the election, which he did. That's an empirical fact of the world. That's a demonstrable, observable fact of the world. So now we've pivoted from that to censoring anti-Trump views.
In case you haven't noticed, our views on YouTube have recently been a mere fraction of what we were getting just a month ago. Needless to say, it's going to...
Is that true? Hold on. You do realize that a month ago was the election, right? You realize a political channel might have views suffer a little bit. My views have been down like 30% since the election. It's not fucking censorship. It's that we were in the middle of a fucking election. Like, yeah, obviously. Oh, Liberty Hangout. That's interesting. Why did you delete 48 million views worth of videos? That's a little bit odd right there. Lol then Vosh, why not agree with a transitory state or dictatorship of the proletariat if you favor the good of the state as it currently is? Do you watch my content? I do favor a transitory state. And dictatorship of the proletariat really only means a worker state where only proletariat get to participate in the democratic process, which I think would be preferable to what we currently have. Like, you have to watch my stuff to point out hypocrisy. Why is the formatting for this so fucking broken? Well, apparently their views are down by... Wait, why is there we go. By about 100% since last month. But, like, the election's over. It's done. So that makes sense, doesn't it?
To be very difficult for me to keep uploading videos here to YouTube. What am I even allowed to talk about anymore besides the weather? This is why it's more important than ever for you to join us over at libertyhangout.tv, where I can actually speak freely and not have to worry about censorship. We are currently having our biggest sale ever for Christmas, and I highly encourage you guys to sign up.
Isn't this degeneracy? Kaitlin, are you gonna pivot to OnlyFans? What are we doing here? I can't... I find Kaitlin Bennett such an extraordinarily unappealing person in so many ways. every time I look at her, all I can imagine is her like pants sagging with the weight of like a massive fucking alcohol shit, you know? And she is the voice of like, she is the voice of a voice actress who's typecast into playing annoying 12-year-olds in like Nickelodeon cartoons. I don't know.
For our annual plan, which you can get at a phenomenal rate right now at libertyhangout.tv. I really wish that I could upload every single video I make to YouTube, but with the way things are going, the majority of my content going forward will likely have to be uploaded at libertyhangout.tv.
Wait,
I've also moved over to Parler and Rumble, and I urge you guys very quickly, go follow us there as well.
Parler and Rumble. What is Rumble? This libertyhangout.tv? Is this not degeneracy? Wait, hold on. Like, Caitlin's an actual neo-Nazi. Isn't this, like, bad or something? What if, like, a Jewish person sees your cleavage? I don't know. Is this allowed? Wait, what are these rates? $15 a month? You're kidding me. Oh my god. You guys think I'm fucking scandalous with my rates. Well, not rates, really. You can watch my shit for free. I just have subs. Jesus. You know, generally speaking, I think it's great when content creators do this. See, this is actually this is part of the political content creator life cycle, okay? So generally speaking, you get your start on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, you know, you get your start in the public platform. But then, as you get further and further and further radicalized, you realize you only want to make videos about how the day of the rope is coming and all black people need to die. You can't do that on YouTube. So your dwindling audience now has to follow you to another website where you charge them exorbitant amounts of money in order to continue to view your mediocre content. That's the part of the political life cycle. And that, yeah, Sargon's doing it too with the Lotus Eaters. And Molly Meme is doing it too. And that's the thing. By the way, when you do this, what you're doing is trading political relevance for money. Because it's true that Kaitlin Bennett is probably going to make a decent amount of money from that website, but viewership is going to be a fraction of what you can get off of YouTube. YouTube is where the political weight is, because that's what everyone uses. That's the site everyone uses. So when you reach this part of the political life cycle, you're essentially retiring. You're retiring, you're making what money you can from the remnant of your superfans, you know? And yeah, they're always going to take that trade too, because a lot of these people just care about money. Yeah, the viewership just comes from like the dedicated Nazi viewers. Yeah. Same with like BitChute. And I don't know what the fuck program she just referred to. What was it called? Rumble? I've never even heard of that.
Unfortunately, YouTube's policy update doesn't just end there, of course. They tell us in plain text what their goal with all of this is. They write, over 70% of recommendations on election-related topics came from authoritative news sources, and the top recommended videos and channels for election-related content were primarily authoritative news. In fact, the top 10 authoritative news channels were recommended over 14 times more than the top 10 non-authoritative news channels on election-related content.
This is actually really interesting. This is the thing that really bothers me. First of all, yeah, what we're describing right now is capitalism. But the thing that really bothers me is that the easy take is that mainstream media is corrupt and bullshit and bourgeois, and that you want to get your news from alternative sources. But if you spent as much time as I have examining how alternative news sources twist the facts, I actually think I'd prefer mainstream media, people watching mainstream media, to people going on there and rolling the dice on like random YouTube news shows, okay? Like easily, you know? It fucking sucks, but like usually where mainstream news publications fuck up is like bias, manufactured consent, and foreign affairs issues, you know? Those are the big ones where mainstream news corporations tend to like really fucking, well, drop the ball would imply that it's a mistake, where they're bad. But man, when you're rolling the dice on YouTube, like you can end up in a lot of really bad places, you know? Philip DeFranco is usually pretty reliable. Yeah, sure, but Philip DeFranco is not going to give you like dedicated political correspondence. Philip DeFranco usually gives you like a little bite-sized chunk of what's been going on lately. But yeah, Philip DeFranco I think does a decent job. Right? Do you guys think? Am I wrong on that? I think Philip DeFranco generally does like an okay job. Like, not perfect. Nah, he doesn't. Not bad. Okay, yeah. When I watch his stuff, I haven't like dived into it, but it seems like it's not like horribly fucking wrong. He's still a lib. Well, yeah, of course, most people in this country are liberals. Like, so yeah, that would track.
So who exactly do they consider to be an authoritative news source? We have ABC News, USA Today, NBC, Fox News, CBS. Gee, I wonder why they would consider these outlets authoritative.
Well, wait, they're by definition authoritative. Of course they are. They're massive multi-million-dollar corporations that have a huge amount of public scrutiny with public ties. They have White House correspondents. I don't know. Is your issue with the term authoritative? Like, well, not Fox News. Fox News is infinitely more authoritative than fucking Kaitlin Bennett. I'll tell you that much. See, here's the thing. If this criticism was coming from somebody that I respected, like Sam Cedar, who I think gives good takes on the news, then I would listen to it. But if somebody like Kaitlin Bennett is bitching about authoritative news sources, you know why she's doing this. She doesn't like them because they can't lie as freely as she can.
Surely they would not have an agenda, right? And here's where
Unlike
their
Kaitlin
policy
Bennett.
update gets a little funny. Despite these encouraging results, we recognize that there's always more to do. For example, while problematic misinformation represents a fraction of 1% of what's watched on YouTube in the US, we know we can bring that number down even more.
Nice.
So this misinformation, as they call it, is so dangerous to our democracy that they have to outright ban it. Yet it only makes up a fraction of 1% of what's watched on YouTube.
Well, considering that the majority of what's watched on YouTube is music videos and Minecraft Let's Plays, yeah. If you actually take a look at the political content that's viewed on YouTube, I mean, the single largest online political content creator who isn't a major news channel is Tim Pool. So, like, you know where these views are going. What's that? It's called transparency.io, right? That's the... No, there was a website for this. Transparency report. Is it .tube? .tube. Okay. Transparency.tube. I misspelled transparency in several places. Maybe I'm not a reliable news source. Yeah, if you take a look at this, you can get a look at the view counts of all of these political channels, and you can see them stacked up against each other. And this is mainstream news, and you can see, like, obviously you have MSNBC, Inside Edition, Fox News, and then partisan left, you have MSNBC, and so on. Partisan right, I disagree with their categorizations for partisan left and partisan right, by the way. I don't know, that seems a little arbitrary. By the way, if you look in partisan left, you can actually see me down there. If you look really, really closely, there's the Vouch bubble. Social justice, they took me out of this one. I'm not entirely sure why. State funded, it's a funny category. I think that's new. I don't remember that one. Conspiracy, religious, conservative, libertarian. And then the socialist, I'm the biggest bubble. Look at me. Ain't that nice? But anyway, yeah, if you look at where a lot of these views are coming, I mean, you can see how they're sort of distributed. If you take out mainstream news and you're looking exclusively at and like non-mainstream channels, what would you say, like non-syndicated news stations, basically, there is a lot of views go to those channels, like a lot of those views, and I don't know, sometimes that can be really, really worrying. Keep in mind, the reason why conservatives are always the greatest and most ardent defenders of preserving conspiracism on YouTube is because they're the ones who take advantage of it. Like, always remember there's a motive behind that. The reason why leftists aren't fighting tooth and nail to preserve misinformation on YouTube is because leftists don't use misinformation. Well, I mean, I've argued with a lot of dumb lefties. There are some, but not even close to the same extent. Not even remotely in the same ballpark. So there is a reason for the bias.
That's like cutting celery out of your diet because you're getting fat. But you know what's really ironic about all of this? Who were the ones misleading people about the outcome of the 2016 election?
Nobody. Seriously. The 2016 election, Hillary Clinton conceded the next day. And there were like dozens of credible indictments that came out of the Russiagate investigation. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Trump did. Remember when Trump claimed 3 million illegals voted and they set up a council to investigate that claim and found no evidence of it? I remember that.
Oh, it was NBC, ABC News?
Wait. all of this was proof. Wait, hold on. There were bipartisan senatorial investigations. The Russiagate thing happened. Donald Trump was not directly involved in it, but the fact that Russians involved themselves in the election by using a disinfo program to seed people's doubts of democracy and generally try to move the country right, all that happened. That was proven.
CNN, CBS News, PBS, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times.
See, this is what I mean. Like this happened. What we're describing right now took place. They're impugning Democrats right now for believing in a thing that happened and using it to justify their belief in a thing that didn't happen.
And all of the other mainstream media outlets. Yet how many of their videos did YouTube take down for the lies they told about Russian meddling in the 2016 election?
Happened.
0. But let's trust these same outlets to definitely tell us the truth about what happened in this election, right? With this, we need to start saying goodbye to YouTube since they said goodbye to us a long time ago. Join us over at libertyhangout.com.
Seriously, like, if you want to, you can look at the Senate Committee on Intelligence reports on the Russian investigation. They're long. It's not exactly an interesting read, but like there's a lot of stuff here. Like this is not nothing at all. In 2016, Russian operatives associated with the St. Petersburg-based IRA used social media to conduct an information warfare campaign designed to spread disinformation and societal division in the U.S. This is like a real document. They had to redact sections of it because of national security concerns. This isn't like this isn't a fucking Rachel Maddow skit. Like, this is real Senate intelligence report. All right. Oh, shit. Osase, my dude. Thank you. I'll check that out shortly. We're reading all donos today. I'm committing to it.
TV to watch Kaitlin Bennett Uncensored.
Wait, hold on. It was established that Russia used social media disinformation, but the Mueller report did not prove that Trump worked directly with Russia. Yeah. No, that's what I just said. It did not prove Trump worked directly with Russia, but there were Trump officials who worked with Russia and who did a lot of other shady shit, and Russia did involve themselves in the election, which you'll notice every single headline that she just flashed by, they didn't say that Trump was directly involved in it. They just said that Russia interfered, and that's true.
I can freely tell you all of my thoughts about the election, about the lockdowns, and about any number of topics that social media doesn't let me express an opinion about. You can also directly support my work at patreon.com.
All right, no free clout.
At Kate Murray. Still forced to wear them. Go to shopfreedommask.com and help.
Wow, the last 3 minutes of the video is an ad. That's impressively shameless. Aren't you guys lucky I don't do sponsorships? I've considered it sometimes, like, you know, ironically, you know, like I could do like a men's shave club thing, like ironically, you know, because I don't shave, so the joke would be, yeah.